Display Art. Episode 8. One painting needs to breathe. Have you ever walked into a gallery and immediately noticed one painting? Not because it is necessarily the largest. Not because it is the most colorful. Not because it has the most expensive frame. You simply notice it. You stop. You look. And for some reason, you don't want to move on. Sometimes that happens because the painting has been given something very important. Space. One painting can completely change when it is given enough room to breathe. Artists often worry about empty walls. They look at a large blank wall and think, we should put another painting here. There is too much empty space. But what if the empty space is exactly what the painting needs? Imagine a large figurative painting hanging alone on a wall. There is enough distance between it and the next artwork. You can stand several feet away. You can see the entire composition. Then you can walk closer. You can study the face, the hands, the brushwork, the details, the expression. The painting has time, and the viewer has time. Now imagine placing 3 other paintings around it. The same artwork may suddenly feel smaller. The viewer's attention moves away. The emotional power becomes diluted. Nothing about the painting itself has changed. Only its surroundings have changed. This is why one of the most important skills in exhibition design is knowing when not to add another painting. Sometimes a painting needs its own wall. This is especially true for large works. A large painting has physical presence, takes up space. It may contain many details. It may require distance to understand the entire composition. If you place another large painting directly beside it, both works may compete. Instead of looking at one, the viewer is forced to decide between 2. Then the eye moves back and forth. The experience becomes tiring. But give each painting its own territory, and something different happens. The viewer can concentrate. The painting becomes an event. This doesn't mean every large painting deserves an entire wall. That would make every exhibition enormous. The important question is, what does this painting need? Some paintings are designed to be part of a group. They become stronger when they are seen together. Others are much more independent. They need silence around them. A curator's job is partly to understand that difference. Think about a quiet painting of a person sitting alone. Perhaps the colors are soft. The composition is simple. There is a great deal of emotional restraint. Now imagine placing it between 2 extremely colorful paintings. The quiet painting may disappear. The viewer may never slow down enough to appreciate it. But give it a quiet wall. Suddenly, its silence becomes visible. The absence of visual competition allows the viewer to notice subtle things. This is particularly important with paintings that are emotionally delicate. Not every artwork needs to impress the viewer immediately. Some paintings work slowly. They reveal themselves over time. And those paintings need space. There is another reason to give certain paintings more room. Scale. If a painting is very large, the viewer needs physical distance to experience it properly. Imagine a huge painting showing a landscape. If you stand too close, you may see only fragments. A mountain here, a tree there, patch of sky. But when you step back, the entire landscape appears. The painting becomes an environment. This is why the gallery needs to provide enough viewing distance. The wall around the painting isn't simply decoration. It gives the viewer the physical space required to see the work. And there is something psychological happening too. When we see one painting alone on a wall, we tend to assume that it is important. The space tells us to pay attention. The architecture is almost whispering, take your time, look carefully, this is worth seeing. Of course, artists can use this expectation creatively. Imagine walking through a large exhibition. There are many paintings. Then you enter a smaller room. There is only one painting. You immediately become curious. Why is this one alone? What makes it different? The empty room has created anticipation. Now the painting has your full attention. This is exhibition storytelling. You are not simply arranging objects. You are controlling the rhythm of discovery. Sometimes the viewer needs abundance. Sometimes the viewer needs quiet. Sometimes they need to see many works together. And sometimes they need one artwork and nothing else. This becomes particularly powerful in a group exhibition. Imagine 10 artists participating in a show. Most artists have 2 or 3 paintings, but one artist has created a very large work that becomes the centerpiece. Instead of treating it like just another painting, the exhibition can make it a destination. Visitors move through the other works and eventually encounter this large piece. It becomes a visual climax. This can also create excitement among the artists. The important thing is to explain that the arrangement isn't a judgment about which artist is better. It is about creating a visual experience. One artist may have a large centerpiece. Another may have a group of small intimate works. Another may have a wall of related paintings. Each presentation can have a different role. This is why a group exhibition should not simply be divided into equal amounts of wall space. Equal space doesn't always create a good exhibition. Fairness and visual design are not always the same thing. Sometimes one artwork needs more space because of its size. Sometimes another needs more space because of its emotional intensity. Sometimes a small painting needs more empty space around it precisely because it is small. The goal is to create balance. And balance doesn't necessarily mean equality. It means that everything feels intentional. There is also a practical benefit to giving paintings breathing room. It makes the exhibition easier to navigate. Visitors can move. They can stop. They can step backward. They can discuss the artwork without blocking everyone behind them. A crowded exhibition can make people move faster. A well-spaced exhibition encourages them to stay. And if you are trying to sell art, this matters enormously. A potential buyer needs time. They may want to stand in front of a painting. They may want to imagine it in their home. They may want to discuss it with a partner. They may want to look at it from different distances. If the painting is squeezed between several other works, that conversation becomes difficult. But if the artwork has room, the buyer can begin to imagine owning it. The painting becomes more than an object on a wall. It becomes a possibility. So when you are preparing an exhibition, don't automatically fill every empty space. Stand in front of each painting. Ask, does this painting need company? Or does it need silence? Does it become stronger when grouped with others? Or does it become weaker? Does the viewer need to step back? Does the viewer need to come closer? Does this painting have enough room to communicate? And if the answer is no, don't be afraid to remove something. Sometimes the best curatorial decision is subtraction. One painting removed can transform an entire wall. One empty wall can transform an entire room. And one painting given enough space can become the painting people remember after they leave. Because art doesn't only need a frame. Sometimes it needs silence around the frame. It needs distance. It needs breathing room. And most importantly, it needs the viewer's attention. So the next time you look at an empty wall in your exhibition, don't immediately think, what else can I put here? Ask, what happens if I leave it empty? You may discover that the empty space isn't missing anything. It is giving the artwork exactly what it needs. Room to breathe. This is the gallery experience.